Hey everyone, Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I was sent a huge game in a very small box. The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9 by KOSMOS Games. The Crew is a cooperative trick-taking game for 2 to 5 players, and the game takes a trick-taking game, and yes, if you're like me, this means all those games that you grew up with, and throws in a modern twist to make this game oh so good. Instead of trying not to win hearts or to hit your bid with the number of tricks that you take, you will now be going through a narrative experience of 50 levels of finding Planet 9, while also playing a trick-taking game with added requirements that you need to do as you go from level to level. And you will be doing this without talking to each other. You can't tell anyone which cards that you have, and you need to strategically play your cards so that certain players win certain tricks at certain times. Some of these requirements will be winning a certain card first, second, third, fourth, or fifth, or winning a trick before or after another. You will have a deck that consists of 4 suits or 4 colors from 1 to 9 with 4 trump cards known as rockets, with the 4 rocket card being the highest trump. Then you will have a small deck of cards consisting of just the 4 suits numbered 1 through 9. As you go through the story, it will tell you how many task cards you need to use for the round for that level. Let's say, for example, we are on, this one right here, level 8. And since I actually really like the storytelling aspect of the game, let me read this mission's text. It tells a story that evolves as you move forward, and yes, the story never changes, but I still really like it and it adds to the game. You have reached lunar orbit. Weightlessness sets in. It's an indescribable feeling. You've completed numerous tests and training for this moment, and yet joy overwhelms you every time. You look back at Earth, which was your entire cosmos so far, and already you can cover it with just your thumb. We have 3 task cards to draw, and then some required tokens. These tokens will require that we win these task cards in order from 1 to 3. Of course, we can win other tricks in between, but we cannot win the 3 task before the 1 or 2 task. So now that we know our task, and we will deal out the playing cards. If you're playing a 3-player game, just know that someone will have an extra card, and that's fine. Players will take a look at their cards and, of course, rearranging them the way that you would normally in a trick-taking game. The player who has the 4 rocket card becomes the commander for the round. As the commander, you will choose which task you'll be responsible for, meaning you will need to win that card with the added requirements associated with it. In this case, it's winning the card in a certain order. The player to the left will then choose a task, and so on. In the beginning of the game, not every player will have a task to perform, but will still be essential to winning the round. Later in the game, some players also might have more than others depending on the number of tasks needed to be performed. But if there are more than the number of players, each player should have at least 1. You will then start the game with the commander choosing what suit to start with. Remember, everyone needs to follow suit if they can, and remember what task cards are laid out. You don't want to accidentally place a card down without knowing other players' cards and lose the mission already in the first round. The distress signal token is placed face down, and this can be used at the beginning of any mission. You have this mission log here where you're logging in how many times it takes you to complete each mission. Well, when using this distress signal, it will give you a little perk for every attempt until you pass that level, but it will also add 1 to the number of attempts for that mission. So only use it if it's in the harder missions and you'll think you'll need the extra help. But when using it, you will all be able to pick 1 card from your hand, and as a group, you will decide to pass them all to the left or all to the right, hopefully helping set up for a better round to win the level. Now, when playing the game, you can also at any time between tricks, but not during, you can use your communication token. To do this, you will place 1 of your cards from your hand out so everyone can see, and then you will place your communication token on that card to give a certain piece of information. You'll place the token on the top of the card to indicate that this is the highest number card of that suit in your hand. You'll place the token on the bottom to indicate this is the lowest number card of that suit in your hand. and you'll place it in the middle to indicate that this is the only card of that suit in your hand. Again, you can communicate whenever you feel it's necessary to give this information to the other players. This could be at the beginning of the round or in the middle of the round, but you will never change the placement of that token. Even if the cards change and the communication token is no longer correct, it always stays where it was first placed. After playing the round and collecting the tricks like the mission has depicted, you will stop either when you accomplish that task or if you messed up and didn't get the task done. You will either reset the round and play it again if you didn't get everything done that you needed to, and then you will reshuffle both decks and replay that level again. Or you will be moving on to the next level and you will read the ongoing story setting up for the next stated tasks. And don't worry if you think these beginning rounds are easy, because it gets tough. Very tough. Really tough. There is no way you will only be playing each level just once. After getting done with all the levels, you can look back at your logbook and you can see how many times it took you to get through all the levels. Again, you can play the game again because your task cards will be different and the setup for each mission will be a tad bit different because it's not going to be the exact same tasks with the exact same cards again and again. Now, I just really like this game. When I used to play a lot of cards like Hearts and Spades, I liked the strategy of what cards to play and in what order to play them. And in this game, the crew takes what I like from these older trick-taking games and says, okay, let's make this a team or a cooperative game where players work together but without being able to communicate. This way you really can see how good you are at trick-taking, because all of a sudden it's not just about you, but you're going to be planning for everyone else as well. And I hope that everyone else is also watching out for me. I actually really enjoy the story in the book, and I know others might not appreciate that as much. But for me, it adds to the story of the game, mixing in the intensity with the exploration to pure awe. It would be neat to have a story that splits off depending on your outcomes in the game, but again, that would require a little bit more time and money into a game that is already great. But an app would possibly do the trick for that. Now, when playing the game, I really recommend playing through the levels 1 through 50 and reading the story with each level. But if you really just want to just play, you can totally make up a scenario with a certain number of task cards and the requirement tokens and do what you would like. Anyways, this game is amazing, and the small box is packed full of great cooperative trick-taking fun. Discover Planet 9 with your trick-taking team in The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9 by KOSMOS Games. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.